Good morning, I'm Rocky Gilbert, one of the operations chiefs for the Great Basin team, here to give you an update on the Swan Lake and Caribou fires. So yesterday we had a pretty good day out on the line, folks working, picking up heat, continuing to make sure that all of our containment lines are going to hold. Over here on the west side of the fire we had an unmanned aircraft, a small drone that flew with infrared capabilities looking for hot spots along this whole section of line. They did find some areas of heat that our normal infrared doesn't pick up, and we had crews out looking for those using GPS coordinates to find those places and start mopping those up. They worked a bunch of them yesterday, and they'll continue to do that today. Down here on the southern end of the fire, we inserted a 10-person module into the Erosion Bay cabin. The purpose of what those folks are going to do is to put dig some hand line around that cabin, and then they are also going to fly in pumps and hoses and put what we call a structure protection sprinkler kit around that cabin as fire continues to back down off of Bear Mountain towards that cabin. It'll have protections in place so that it doesn't incur any damage over the next few days. And that crew should stay in there all day today and then probably tonight and come out sometime tomorrow. Let's see, up here along the highway where fire is continuing to burn just above the highway, they've been putting in sprinkler kits. So as you're driving through that piece of the road, you'll see firefighters along the road. They've got hoses all over the place. You'll hear the pumps running, and they're basically watering that area to raise the relative humidity and keeping fire from wanting to continue to burn actively in that part of the corridor of the highway. Up in the Resurrection Trail, Juneau Creek area, we had crews hike up in there yesterday. They're continuing to build a direct line where it came across the trail to the east side of the trail, working with helicopters to direct bucket work to support the work that they're doing. And on the west side of the trail, the crews are continuing to monitor that where it's possible. They're putting in lines that would help keep that from moving any further south. But overall, no major fire movement, and the aerial support that we're getting is helping keep all that fire in check. Around the community of Cooper Landing, they have finished putting in all of the sprinkler kits that they're going to put in to protect that community. They're really just working on chipping up the green material that the residents and our firefighters have been cutting to create fuel breaks around that community. And so there's a ton of work in there for them to finish up all of that vegetative work that they're doing in there. And then they finished up some work on the south side of Cooper Landing, just with their contingency line that they had built in there. The last place is up off of this piece of line that's off of Russian Mountain and Bear Mountain. They finally got all the debris cleaned up yesterday that had come over in the last 2 days prior to that had kind of compromised their line. So all that was cleaned up, and the hoses were all put back in place. And today they'll be able to start full mop-up using water in that piece of ground. So everything's going really well. We've continued to use the drones to look for hot spots, and then given those coordinates to firefighters on other parts of the fire as well to go put those fires out. And then moving over to the Caribou fire, we still have roughly 67 folks out on that fire. They are continuing to improve line that's around it. It's a big enough fire that they still haven't had somebody walk all the way around the fire, but from aerial observations, they don't have any issues with the places they haven't had people down on that south end. Today they're going to get one of the drones up to do an infrared flight around their perimeter to look for any heat signatures, and if they do find stuff that they think would compromise the line, they would send firefighters to put out those hot spots. And then they're going to start to button things up as we get closer to the weekend and some of the crews time out. That'll happen over this weekend. So that's your update for today.